And for those listening who don't know that personality matrix, it's promoters are very just out there, inspiration. Think of like, butterfly, life of the party, like that big energy. And so that was what I was like drawn to a lot. And now I'm realizing, what also kind of comes with that is kind of this feminineness too. And like, whereas if you think of analyzer, just think about it in terms of masculine, feminine. I just said butterfly, blah, 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 flowy, that's very like got a lot of feminine to it, right? And then you have analyzer, structured, regimented, organized, like that's very like masculine.
A leader has to take the risks.
Hello.
Well, hello to you. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So, good morning. So where are you? What part of the world are you? Where,
I'm in North Carolina. That's where I live now. I know when the last time we talked.
it's gotta be 2 years, maybe even 3 years, probably.
But I was living in North Carolina then.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah.
were. Yeah, you probably and then you moved to that big house.
Yes,
And that was what state was that? Where was that?
that's North Carolina.
That was North Carolina. Okay, all right. So you've been all over the place. So Ashley Hann, we have on Wealth on the Beach podcast. I'm so excited to have you with me this morning. So tell
Woo!
me about, well, afternoon for you, but tell me what's new. It's been a little
Oh
while.
my gosh, so much. So much is new. I mean, I'm now a single mama
Okay.
and just in a bunch of really powerful pivots in my life and all great things. So I'm really, really grateful, super thankful, and just been moving through it with grace and faith and lots of prayer. And I'm honestly happier than I've ever been, I feel like. So yeah.
Well, you're an author, you're a tweaker, a rapper,
Wait, a tweaker? You mean a twerker? I'm
twerker.
also a little bit of a tweaker. Let's be real.
Well, a little bit of a tweaker, twerker, a rapper. Yeah, we need to make sure my guy takes that part out. All right, I want to make sure we edit that part out because I don't want to call you a tweaker. It's still early in the morning for me, so I'm trying to still, get my. Well, I just moved back into this house. I'm actually just moved back into this. So this was my background when we were together last.
Hmm.
I've been in Newport Beach for 2 years. So I
Oh,
actually moved out and then I retook over the house. My ex-wife moved out and then I moved back in. So I've had quite a, so we're gonna have a really nice conversation today about all kinds of crazy shit. So I'm excited.
yeah.
So author. So actually, you're an author, you're a mentor, you're a coach, you're a badass coach, and we're going to talk about that. A twerker, and by the way, you're a rapper too. And this is what's awesome is you singing in your car is one of the most fun things for me to do on Instagram. Okay, so I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you know all the words. Some of these words and how you remember them from the 80s is awesome. So pretty cool. So tell me a little bit about your story. Like what shaped you into who you are today? Because you are a powerful, independent, strong, motivated woman that's kind of really trying to make a difference in women's lives.
Yeah, well, thank you for all of that. Yes, I was a closet rapper, but I'm no longer in the closet about it anymore.
Love it.
Yeah, so my story, I think the biggest piece of it is just where I came from and how it is so who I was before is so different than who I am today. And when I say before, I mean when I was, all through growing up into like college, into my early 20s, when I lived in San Diego, I was quite a different person. I don't think most people would recognize me. I was just very different, very surface level, low self-esteem, no sense of direction, was really lost, doing all the wrong, doing things for the wrong reasons. And honestly, I was really depressed, and I was diagnosed with severe anxiety disorder. I popped pills every day and was just getting by. It was just going with the motions. I was struggling financially, and yeah, just a totally different person. And then I was just randomly invited to a 4-month long self-development training, which I reference in my book. I'm not affiliated in any way. I don't get any kind of kickback. I just will always give credit where credit is due. And it was the thing that was my wake-up call. It just shook me, it jolted me, and it had me really have nowhere else to look but in the mirror at myself. And there was no escaping it, and there was no avoiding it anymore. There was no stuffing it down anymore. There was no more sweeping it under the rug. It was all in front of me, and I had to deal with it in real time. And it was honestly the catalyst for who I am today. That training, it's called ALA, Ascension Leadership Academy. And yeah, that was in San Diego. Now they're in Austin. And that was really where everything changed for me. It's when I started loving myself. And the person I was before that, I was in like deep self-loathing. Like I would look in the mirror. I hated not just what I saw, because I did hate what I saw, but I also hated who I saw. I hated who I was. I rejected so many parts of myself. And so no wonder all my friendships and relationships were so surface, and I felt rejected by others all the time, which is a reflection of the ways in which I rejected myself. And I so desperately wanted to fit in, so desperately wanted to be liked, that I would betray myself constantly. I just had no self-respect. So it was such a 180 shift. Like literally, I remember the first time. So as I'm going through this shedding phase, right, of even shedding old friendships that are no longer aligned, and I'm going through this shedding phase. Well, I used to be a club rat, like just such a club rat. Like I was that girl that knew all the promoters and like all
Wow.
the bouncers. Like that was me in my 20s in San Diego, right? And so one of my friends, who we're still friends, but it's one of those, she was really close and then slowly kind of started realizing we're very different now, and we're into different things with different values. I was invited after I finished the 4-month training. It was like a couple months after, I was invited to a birthday party at a club. And I hadn't been in the club in, 6 months. And I walked in, and I literally, some guy walks up to me and goes, "Ashley, what happened? Like, you're so different. Like, what happened to you?" And he just was like, I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Like, you right now, your energy, everything." He's like, "I feel like I barely recognize you." And it was just such powerful feedback for me in that moment of like, whoa, what a difference, and what a cool reflection to hear from somebody who knew me pretty well, at least externally, and then sees the difference, visibly experiencing a difference in me. And so
The
yeah.
transfer, basically got to see the transformation of who you became after you went through this work, right? This inner work.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I wrote a book about it because I just wanted to get my message across, because I knew that if I could create such a 180-degree shift, like literal 180 flip for me, then it could be possible for anybody. That's how I felt. And I was like, so I've got to share my story. I've got to share what I learned. And that's why I wrote the book. And obviously it was a really great accomplishment, a milestone for me. Like, wow, I'd always wanted to write a book. And so I finally wrote a book with purpose.
And
So
what kind of jobs did you have, growing up, or like what kind of, different industries like helped to create who you are? Like for example, I mean, I built a financial services company, so I'm kind of in that world, right? Where did you learn this stuff other than that mentorship? I mean, did you have jobs? Did you work in any industries like that, or what did you do?
yeah, marketing was the thing. I mean, I was a double major in finance and marketing, so I was kind of torn for a little bit between, I had this internship at Wells Fargo Advisor, so it was like, do I go the financial route or do I go marketing? And I just was so much more pulled to marketing. So my first job out of college was at ABC Shark Tank, Mark Cuban company called Tower Paddleboards. And I worked there for a while. That's where I learned a lot of my entrepreneurial skills and like
Did you meet Mark?
BS. Huh?
Did you ever meet Mark?
Yes, I
You
did.
did. So what's he like in real life?
It was really nice. It was great. Yeah. Like even after the job, like every now and then we would like message about things, related to like, social or it was like marketing and the business and stuff. So yeah, that was really cool. Really, really cool experience for me. But I just didn't align ethically with the founder on a lot of things. And just so we just parted ways. And then I just decided, well, that was a startup environment. I want to try something completely different. I want to work for like a corporate, like Google-esque kind of company. And so I worked for global analytics, and they're, like $100 million company, international company. And I worked for them, really didn't last long. It lasted like 7 months. And I was like, I'm out of here. I can't do this. And so I left. And then that's when I started my own business. But I started out, it wasn't what I'm doing now. I mean, I've always done websites. Like that was something because I used to code when I was like little. So I always like had that, but I was actually a pub. So I was a Facebook ads publisher.
So are
And
you kind of like a closet tech nerd too? I mean, is that kind of what you
yeah,
are?
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm such a nerd. I was actually just talking to my friend about that today. I'm definitely a nerd. And I don't do a lot of the tedious, like I don't do the coding anymore. I have someone on my team who does it. So I would be totally lost. I haven't kept up with that at all in multiple years. But yeah, I'm definitely a little bit of a nerd.
So you had some recent changes. We're going to get back to all your, kind of what you do and how you do it. But I really want to dive a little bit into, you've had a change in the last couple of years. I mean, you went from, married and brand new baby and, that whole image and that whole world and you got a divorce. So would you mind sharing a little bit
Yeah.
about that journey?
Well, we were actually never married.
Okay,
So
okay.
interesting, right? It's kind of interesting how, I mean, we were engaged,
Hmm.
but never actually got married. So that's, we're I guess separated is the term, split, separated.
Right.
Yeah, it was a really long time coming. Really tried so hard to make it work. It was such an interesting place for me to be in. When I don't know if you or anyone listening can relate to like you're in it could even be, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be any relationship, and you're like feeling like, oh, okay, things are not working. Like it's not working, right? And you feel that. And it's like, well, where do I draw the line of enough's enough, time to leave, time to go, or but we can work harder, but we can do more programs, and we can try more and more and more to work harder and harder and harder to make this work. Like, it's like I couldn't, that was the big thing for me, is like, where do I draw that line? It was so confusing to me, because at the end of the day, it's like you can always put in more work. You can always
Right.
put in more work, right?
Right.
But when do you decide, okay, wait a minute, this just isn't it, And so that was where I was for a long time, and it was a painful place to be. It was a really confusing, hard place to be. And when we got pregnant unexpectedly, so it was not planned. And so when that happened, we weren't really in the best place. However, Gerard had planned to propose to me. And so it was just, the timing was just kind of crazy. So clearly Skyla, my daughter, was meant to come through. She really was. So she's the greatest gift that came from that relationship, is Skyla.
Totally.
She,
Totally.
she,
Yeah.
she is the thing. And so the next day we flew to Greece, and he proposed to me. And that was, not because of the pregnancy that we found out the day before, or yeah, the day before that we were pregnant. It was, he'd been planning that for 5 months. I had no idea. I was totally thrown for a loop at the time because we weren't doing the best.
Right.
So I
Right.
wasn't expecting that. But yeah, that's kind of like where we were. And then some things happen, which I can't disclose the details of here, but some things happen that at the end of the relationship, where it was so clear. It was like I had been praying for an answer, for clarity. Like, what do I do? Remember I said about that line, like, do I stay? Do I go? Do I stay? Do I go? And just like praying. I went and did an ayahuasca ceremony, hoping that some answer would come through.
Right,
Nothing.
right, right.
Nothing came through. It was just like, the only thing that came through was, you will know come November. I'm like, all right. And that was like 5 months away or something. And sure enough, like clockwork, I found there was some stuff that happened
Right.
in the beginning of November, end of October. And the beginning of November was when I realized, and it was so clear, my decision. And there wasn't even a second, there wasn't even a doubt that it was the right decision. It was just like, yep, this is it. Our journey at this, like, as romantic partners, has come to a completion for me. And
How long were you guys together?
like three and a half years.
Okay.
3.5 years. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you look back, I mean, because, obviously you're always in that journey of learning and trying to grow and trying to become the best version of you. Did you, what could you take away from it? Like what lessons did you learn about yourself, about relationships?
Yeah. I learned that I get to trust my intuition. I get to pay attention I've learned, it's so interesting because I've literally learned this in different areas, just not romantically. I hadn't really learned this lesson yet. I learned it even with friendships. I actually wrote a poem about a friendship breakup and how it was, really a toxic friendship from the start, but I was ignoring all of the red flags because I just loved this woman so much as my bestie and wanted it to work so bad. When you get like attached to a vision with somebody and you're like, oh, but I see how great this could be. And then so you forego everything that is showing up in the moment. Actually, there's a really great quote, and this is a big key lesson takeaway. It's to commit to yesterday's truth forsakes today's knowingness. That for me is so important because I'm such an analyzer, and like analyzers are very, if you know the personality matrix, is what I'm referring to, motor, controller,
16
analyzer,
personalities.
controller. Yeah. Integrity is like huge for us. Huge. So what is integrity? It's being your word, being who you say you are, walking the talk. It's holding your commitments, right? And so if I committed to somebody, then I feel like I need to see it through.
Right.
Right. It's like, I need to see it through, but then what if all of these new data points are showing up to me in real time? I'm ignoring them because I'm like, oh no, but I committed to this. Right. So I'm going to keep it. I can make it work. Everything's figure outable,
Well, I know. Yeah. I mean, I was in a relationship. I mean, I was married for 22 years, in a relationship for over 30 years.
Wow.
So yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. You overlook a lot of things because you want things to be great. You want things to be the best, and especially us that maybe come from self-improvement world, and we're always trying to become the best version and learning and trying to figure things out. And again, there's always a solution. I can find it. If there's a will, there's a way. I mean, this is how we talk. I mean, this is how, at least for me, this is how I talk, right, every day of my life. So I'm always like, trying to strive to become the best and everything. And so yeah, you overlook things that maybe you shouldn't have overlooked in that process. And because you're fighting so hard, I mean, especially when there's kids involved, you're fighting even harder because it's not just about you, it's about your kids too.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a big reason why I stayed those extra 2 years was because of that, for sure. The thing also I want to say, speaking of this self-development, space, is that what I also found is that so many of us, because of this, exactly what you just shared, oh, if there's a will, there's a way, everything's figure outable. Like, oh, they're such a mirror for me. They're just reflecting back. They're my path to a higher ascension for me to become my best self. Like literally, this is like all over my feed, stuff like that, right? It's all over my Instagram feed. And it's like, one thing I realize is, holy shoot, we are like spiritually bypassing ourselves to stay in very toxic relationships that are clearly not in alignment. It's not to say the person is toxic. It's just to say, like, it's not working and it doesn't have to be so hard. A big lesson for me is like, Ashley, transformation doesn't have to be so fucking hard. Excuse
Right.
me for cursing, but it
Right.
doesn't have to be so hard.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
life doesn't have to be so hard. I mean, we make it, we overcomplicate life, I think, like to a whole nother level of like, it's so weird. Like there's so many things. Cause I mean, for me personally, I mean, I haven't really talked, this is really the first time I've ever really talked in length about my divorce and about, the details about it. But, I look back and there's so many little things that even I take major blame for, things that I did wrong, self-reflection in myself going, why did I get mad at that situation? Like, shouldn't I have just let it go? Like, what the fuck? Who cares? You know what I mean? Like really, that was the dumbest thing. Like in the end, 10 years later, nobody even cared about it. It didn't even matter. So,
Yeah.
and again, I mean, there were things on both sides, but I try, every day to figure out or to think about the things that I did wrong, not just what she did wrong, but what
Yeah.
I did wrong. So I can kind of go, all right, how am I going to navigate the rest of my life now? Right. I mean, how am I going to make sure that every future relationship that I'm in, that I am the best version that I can be? And, I kind of think about it as like, I'm Daniel Alonzo 2.0, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I am so different today than I was 2 years ago, even just in this, short period of time, 2 years. I am a completely different human being because I just feel like you got to grow from it. I can't sit and wallow in 30 years of a relationship and go, oh my God, and think about it every day. I got to go, all right, man, I got to move forward. How am I going to make the best out of this situation
Yes.
versus, making it worse? And I just think you're right. We over analyze so much stuff and we make it so hard sometimes, harder than it needs to be sometimes because we overthink things.
Yeah. So true. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I
Untethered Soul. Have you read
Oh,
that book?
so good.
Yeah.
So good. I haven't read it in a while though. That's a
Yeah.
good, I love books like that. Reread. Like, I've got to reread that one. So I've already read it twice, but thank you for pulling that to the front of my awareness. Cause yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
So what are some of the other lessons that you maybe brought out of this, this relationship?
okay. Well, there's a couple more that are coming to mind. The first one I'll share, which I feel like is really raw and like a little bit even like taboo-ish. And I'm, that's who I am though. I like to keep it raw and real. Like, I'll share everything on my side. I just don't want to share things about him, if that makes
No, no,
sense.
I totally,
Right. So it's like
and it makes
I'm always
sense.
transparent about me. So
Absolutely. 100%.
so for me, this was a really powerful realization for me. Holy smokes, like massive unlock, so much so that it has created a launch pad for me of like, oh my, I'm about to really step into my bigness. So what I realized is, and I realized this after, obviously, after Gerard and I split, I realized that it's one thing like, okay, yes, of course, it's attractive to be with a man who are ambitious, go-getters, hunters, going out there making that money. They're successful. Like, ooh, that's sexy. Ooh. Like, yes, it's sexy. And, like, there's one thing, yes, it's a turn on. Yes, it's attractive. And I didn't realize that I created it as this like, not just something that's like, ooh, like that's sexy, that's hot, that's a turn on. Yes, I did feel that way. I actually had a very like a tethered attachment to needing a man who was wildly successful, not just successful, but needed to be a millionaire. Now, let me explain why. And I figured all this out. It all unpacked. I didn't know, it was super in my subconscious. I was totally not aware of this at all. I just thought it was like, oh no, like I get to be with a man who's successful. That's hot, blah, blah. No, it was, I need to be. And the reason being is because I felt deep down, well, let me backtrack a little bit. I have a desire to live a very abundant, free flowing, like a life where I get to enjoy without restriction. Like I want to travel the world. I want to do this. I want to experience that. I want to I want to live a life of abundance. And yes, I like nice things. And yes, I like luxury and all these things. Like I want to have that life. I thought that in order to have that life, I needed a man to provide that to me. I didn't believe that I could create that for myself, even though here I am, this boss woman, entrepreneur who's done really well. But I was holding myself small in this super subconscious way of like, oh, but if I can't make it, if it doesn't work out for me, if everything implodes, oh, at least I'll still have the lifestyle I want. It was this backdoor, leaky energy of like my power just kind of going out this back door.
Right.
And
Right.
I had no idea that that was happening. And when it hit me, when I tell you, Daniel, when it hit me, I was brought to tears, just sobbing of like, oh my God, this is the thing. This is the thing. This is why I've been playing small. I've been putting everything on, which because I didn't think I could handle it. I didn't think I could do it. So I put everything on the man. And that creates an unhealthy dynamic in that because it's
Right.
like, oh, it's almost like, yeah, he's filling a void of mine, right? And so it's like, oh, I need you, not I want you, not, oh, having you as an addition is a bonus to my already whole self and life. It was, I need you in order for me to have what I want. And it was such, when I tell you it's a mind blown, it was a full visceral, like not just conceptually. I didn't just conceptually get it. I got it. And when I tell you it's crazy, like even just the fact that I don't want to say that it doesn't matter to me anymore in terms of like, oh, it doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, again, where it's coming from for me now is, oh, if a guy's successful, that's awesome. Good for him. Yeah, that's attractive, but I don't need it. I don't need
Right.
it
Right.
anymore. And
Right.
it
Right.
feels so good. So good. And
So it's
I feel more empowered than ever to step into my bigness. And I'm like so excited for this launch pad moment for me. Is like, what is possible now? Like, I got this.
so do you think you'll be single forever?
You know what's so funny is
Because that's what it sounds like to me.
no, I said I was talking to one of my best friends also named Ashley and I was just telling her, I was like, girl, I was like, honestly, I am so good. Like, I got the love of my life, Skyla. I got all these hobbies. I'm trying to learn guitar. I want to relearn piano. I got this new business venture I'm excited about. Like, I got a lot going on in my life. Like, I'm a mom. I'm like, I'm good. I was like, if I'm single, if this is it for the rest of my life, like, I'm good. And and it was funny because she told me a couple weeks later, she's like, when you told me that, like I was happy for you and everything, but a part of me was like, oh no, is Ashley giving up on love? Is Ashley giving up on love? And she's like, I felt sad for you because I really want you to have the love that you deserve, and I want you to be cherished and blah blah. Because she's in this beautiful, loving relationship. That's her dream relationship. And so yeah, no, the answer is not, that was her experience, interpretation. I've definitely not given up on love. I'm not coming from a space of needing. It's more of like, I'm good as I am. And so the person would be just an amplifier, like an addition, like a bonus. It would need to be worth it for me. It would need to add to my life in a way that feels, yeah, feels good. So does
Yeah, I
that kind
mean,
of make
because I mean, I think, and this has been kind of a a new generation thinking as far, because there's a lot of this. I mean, at least maybe it's just on my feed, but I'm seeing a lot of videos about, you know, women are going way, way too masculine, and men are going way, way too feminine, And so can you share your thoughts on, what's the right amount of femininity for a woman? And, are men too masculine, or do they need to be more feminine? Like, give me your thoughts on feminine, masculine.
I think the real conversation is polarity. And it's going to look different for every couple. Like everyone's has different strokes for different folks. For me, it's important to be able to like shut. Oh, this is another big learning. So for me, it's important to be able to shut off. Like I put this hat on, and I'm in my masculine running business, and it's not it's fun, but once I'm done and I'm off that, like 4:30 p.m. is usually my time when I'm done for the day. I don't want to do that anymore. I really don't want to do that anymore. Now, so this is where one thing that I realized also is I said I'm an analyzer. I've historically dated a lot of promoters, like I've solely dated promoters. So, and like and for those listening who don't know that personality matrix, it's promoters are very just out there, inspiration. Think of like, butterfly, life of the party, like that big energy. And so that was what I was like drawn to a lot. And now I'm realizing, what also kind of comes with that is kind of this feminineness too. And like, whereas if you think of analyzer, just think about it in terms of masculine, feminine. I just said butterfly, blah, 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 flowy, That's very like got a lot of feminine to it, right? And then you have analyzer, structured, regimented, organized. Like that's very like masculine. So I realized I'm like, ooh, maybe I want to date an analyzer. I've never done that before. And so I think when it comes to, for example, the reason I'm tying that in is, say me and my lover, we go on a trip together. I do not want to know where we parked the car, remember where we parked the car, know where our gate is. I don't want to be the one tracking what time is our flight, what time does the gate open, what are our seat, I don't want to be doing that. I do not, but I have historically always been the one doing that. And it's like, because it's almost like a feeling of, oh, well, it's not being handled, so that means I have to, right? And I don't, that to me, and again, everyone's different. Maybe there's women listening who like, oh no, I love to be the planner organizer. And honestly, I used to say that. But really, it feels so good to just be gotten. It's like, oh, I plan and organize and I'm managing shit all day in my business. When I'm with my man, whoo, I just want to let him take the wheel, literally. I don't want to drive, like take the wheel. And I'm just going to sit back, and I don't care if you make a wrong
And
turn.
rap.
Like, I don't care.
And rap. That's what you want to do.
And rap. I want to be in the passenger seat rapping and not having to worry about the road, just worrying about the rap, not the road, the rap.
And does this come from like, I mean, do you feel like a lot of this has been reignited in you though? Because you are, or, because you literally are changing, a lot of who you've been for so long. Does it feel weird?
It feels great. It feels amazing. Yeah, no, reignited. That's the name of my women's retreat, reignite.
That's why I brought it up. Of course, I know
Yeah,
that.
that's my thing. Reignited and in a whole new way, for sure.
And
Yeah.
and that's and so when you put that together, I mean, I would imagine that's kind of where it came from, is like you literally are flipping over a new, this is a new chapter of your life,
Yeah.
reigniting this feeling of, all right, I'm gonna be in a totally different energy. I'm gonna put myself out there differently. I'm gonna become a better version of me. And I want to share that with the world. So tell me, what are some of the things that if a woman signed up for your course or your coaching or something like that, what are some of the things that they're going to be, taught, or, what are you going to teach them? What are you going to help them with?
Well, you're asking a very interesting question, because I have not even fully announced this publicly yet. Actually, I'm announcing it today, either today or tomorrow. I'm in a career pivot. So I have been very unimpressed, I've grown weary and tired of the coaching space, of the self-development industry, to be honest. I haven't felt ignited or inspired about it for a while, really since the split. I feel like was kind of like that's when it started. And then in June was when it just was like heavy of like, God, do I want to even be doing what I've been doing? And what's crazy is I realized from my coach, she was like, Ashley, what were you doing 7 years ago? And I was like, that's a weird question. And I looked in my phone and I saw that was when I did ALA and my whole life changed. And she goes, okay. She was like, how significant was that in your life? I was like, oh, it's like, it was the thing. Like it was the catalyst for who I am today. And she goes, you're in your next 7-year cycle. And I was like, oh. And it just made it like clicked. It was like, yeah, I'm done with that, how I've been doing things, the way I've been doing them. I just am ready for something new. I'm craving a change. And it was really scary, to be honest, be completely transparent. Imagine this, the same time that I move into a new home, become a single mom and going through all of that, at the same time, I'm uncertain about my career. That's pretty freaking inconvenient timing. So I was in a really dark place, like a really dark place. I actually had my first panic attack that I'd had in 8 years. And I was so scared because it was like, how can I be uncertain about, like, I have a child now. Like it was a fear of, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to make it? And it was so deep and it was so heavy. And I and so I prayed diligently for 2 months straight, every single day, multiple times a day, the same prayer. And then the prayer was answered in the most miraculous way. So I am pivoting. I canceled my retreat. I just announced the cancellation of my Ignite portal, which is my women's membership, online membership. I'm keeping a couple of private clients that feel good for me because I love them and it's all good. But I'm skimming that down. So I usually have 5 at any given time. Right now I have 2. And that's going to be like, I'm going to be like skimming that down. And then I have my Ignite VIP, which is my like higher tier. There's like 4 or 5 women, super intimate, super ooey gooey. And that feels good to keep for now. And then I'm just going with a moment by moment, again, to commit to yesterday's truth, forsake today's knowingness. So I'm constantly tuning into what is today's knowingness, and leading from there. But I am no longer going to be a coach the way you've seen me. I'm not going to be hosting retreats anymore. Although I do have a course coming up where I'm going to be teaching women how to host retreats, since I've done them really successfully and profitably. But I'm not going to be doing a lot of the things that I've been doing for the last 7 years, going in a whole new direction, in a whole new industry, actually.
So where are you going and what are you going to do?
So I am actually, I'm like, do I share this here? Or I guess this is going to be coming out after my post.
This will be coming out probably in a couple of weeks or something.
Yeah. Okay. So I would have already announced it. So I am entering a field, an industry that I used to heavily judge, that I thought was scammy, superficial. And it's interesting that I did, because I literally have like a handful of, not friends of friends, I'm talking first degree connection friends who I know very well behind the scenes, have been in their homes, who have not only their lives been completely transformed in the most positive way, but also have made hundreds of thousands, if not multiple millions of dollars, and have since just created a passive revenue stream where they get checks in the mail every single month without lifting a finger. And they're some of the best people I know, honestly, like heart-centered, just amazing, purpose-driven people. So maybe you've guessed what it might be.
I could guess. Yeah, I could guess. I just don't know what company or what industry.
Yeah. So it's network marketing.
Okay.
And what's crazy is, like I said, I used to judge MLMs, pyramid schemes. Like I used to have all these judgments about it because I have a little skeptic in me. I have a real skeptic back there.
Well, you're an analyzer. That's why. I mean, you realize, Ashley, I mean, that's the whole platform that I built my financial services company on.
No, I didn't know that.
I have 1,500 agents I've been living on passive income since I was 28 years old. Well, actually,
So
I've been living
cool.
on passive income since 21 years old, but I was financially independent, free based on that model at the
Yep.
age of 28 years old. So, I mean, I was at a meeting last night recruiting people. So, I mean,
Wow.
my organization does a couple $1 billion a year in insurance face amount. We did $50 million in investments this last year. We recruit 200 plus, 300 plus people a month. And yeah, and all of this, by the way, is done without me. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
I go speak for 30 minutes, and that's the extent of my work day for the most part.
So good. So good. Yeah, I love it. The model works, you know?
Well, I mean, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
The model works. It's the most genius model, in my opinion. It's the most genius model in the world. And I'm glad you're a convert now, so it's awesome.
And that's what I'm excited about, right? Like it's interesting. I'm going on this whole, which I love. I love it. I shared about my herpes publicly, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's super highly stigmatized,
Mm-hmm.
the most highly stigmatized STI, right? And then you have a super highly stigmatized, it's like number two. It's number two underneath the sex industry is it's network marketing, it's MLMs.
Right.
And so it's like I'm forging this path of like, let's slay the effing stigma.
Right.
Like, yes, there's light and dark to everything, literally, contrast, everything. Like the coaching industry, there's freaking pyramid schemes happening in the freaking coaching industry, like
Right.
scams
Of
left and right, and they're
course. Of course.
everywhere. But it's like, yeah, you're right. Like, look at there we go. I mean, of course that you were going to say that in this. Of course you're going to say, oh yeah, actually, didn't you know that that's what I've done since I was 28?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, literally 21 years. I mean, 21 years old, I got recruited, and I've been with the
Oh,
same
wow.
company for the entire time. I just turned
Wow.
70. So, I mean, I've been doing this a long time.
No way, you're 70?
No, I'm not 70.
I'm like, wait,
I'm
you're
joking.
I'm like, stop.
I'm
I'm like,
joking.
what
I'm
kind of
joking.
biohacking are you doing?
Well, I'm
Sign me
actually,
up.
have you heard of Brian Johnson? Have you heard of Brian
No,
Johnson?
no, is that guy, right?
Yes,
Yes,
he sold Venmo, spending 2 million, $3 million a year just biohacking his body. He's
yes. And
badass.
he,
I'm doing all the shit. I just got 30 vials of blood taken from me.
oh
30
my,
vials. They tested me. I'm 5 years biologically younger than what my real age is. I am like I feel superhuman right now. So yeah,
oh,
I mean
that's sick.
I'm
Wow,
pretty badass. So
that's
anyway,
awesome.
so what are you selling? What do we got to buy? Like what are you gonna try to recruit me now? Yeah,
Well,
are
I
you making
mean,
$1 million yet? What do you do? These are all the things that you're gonna hear.
yeah,
By the way, this is like
yeah,
this industry is known for you know a lot of friends and family. They might not
yeah,
like you next month.
yeah,
These are the kind of things that
yeah.
we go through. And by the way,
Mhm.
my son is 22. He just got licensed in the industry because we have to get licensed. We're investments, insurance, and all that kind of stuff. And so he's getting started, and so he's dealing. It's really crazy because he's dealing with a lot of the same things that I dealt with at 21 when I got started. And
Mm.
so it's really interesting. It's one of the most amazing, fun things that I get to be a part of this journey with my son,
Yeah.
teaching him like to how to navigate these waters. Because So, anyways, what industry are you going into, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, that's so cool, by the way, that you get to do that with your son. Like, how special. And then you're like his mentor. It's so sweet.
And
I
think
love
about it. He's
that.
got this business that will transfer over to him. So
Yes.
everything that's happened to me
Epic.
will just be it's called ownership. It'll just transfer over to him and my daughter. I have an 18-year-old daughter, 22-year-old son, and they'll just they'll take on,
Inherit
and
it.
then
Yeah.
it'll just continue forever. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's literally a legacy. You've built
It
a
really is.
legacy. And it's like, wow, how cool is that you can pass it down? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, epic. Okay, so for the industry, it's network marketing, the company itself is clean beauty, clean skincare, and wellness made to European standards. They do have a
Oh.
little men's line. They do have a little men's line. But it's mostly women. Like everyone on the team it's like
So
99% women.
European standards, I'm interested about that because my girlfriend actually lives in Slovakia.
Oh,
So like,
yeah.
so tell me about the
Yeah.
European standards because
Yeah,
it's Central European and everything.
that's a key thing. So what that means is in the US, the FDA, they ban slash restrict 13 ingredients, okay, in cosmetics and skincare. In the EU, the European Union, they restrict slash ban over 1,300, 1,300.
Wow. Wow.
So what that tells you is the quality of the ingredients. There's a lot of additives, chemicals, shit that I mean, we all know this, right? That the
Oh yeah.
US hacks.
Yeah.
And it's not only unnecessary, it's toxic. And so that's what I love about this. It's actually my aunt signed up, my mom signed up, like all these people, they're like, yes, I'm loving this aspect of it because they're great products and they're clean, made to European standards. I'm like, I'm obsessed with all the ones I was using. I was literally just, it's like hard because I'm literally so passionate about it. I go to sleep thinking about it. I wake up thinking about it. And I haven't felt this ignited, alive, and inspired about a business opportunity in a company in multiple years. So it feels so good.
Awesome. That's all. Well, you know what's interesting, and I'm a huge believer in what you're talking about because I mean I've lived in Slovakia, I lived in Europe, and so I just got back from there maybe 3 weeks ago, and we talk about it all the time. I mean, Europe, the food is better, the food is cleaner, the food is more. I mean, they don't even have to say organic over there. It's just all organic.
Yeah.
And I lived in
No.
Turkey for a month, or we lived in Turkey for a month. And what's interesting is that you'd go down to the grocery store, just you'd walk down to the little supermarket down the street, and you'd get bananas, and the bananas are all kind of like you got like 1 or 2 days to eat them. You know what I mean? Everything
Yeah.
just is real
Yeah.
food, but it's
Yeah.
healthy and it's good
Yeah.
for you. It's crazy.
Exactly. I know exactly what you mean. I literally just having this conversation with a friend, not even in regards to what I'm doing, just about the food and how he was there for 2 months eating like pasta and all these stuff every day. He's like, literally, I think I lost weight.
Right? Oh yeah. No,
Like,
I'm like,
seriously. It's like, because
yeah,
the inflammation, it's like, I
absolutely.
think that's what he was experiencing was like, he was all inflamed here in the US and he went there and it's like the inflammation because he was there for 2 months. Right. And so, yeah, just like super awesome. So that's a big pull. And then just the team of women, you know me, I'm a girl's girl. So that's why all my stuff's women's program. So it's like, what's cool is, Daniel, is I'm channeling. None of what I've done for the last 7 years was a waste. Actually, it's going to put me on a big advantage in a lot of ways. And I'm getting to channel everything that I've learned, that I've mastered, that I can channel it all into these women that are in my team here. So I'm empowering them, I'm coaching them, I'm supporting them. We have weekly calls. Like it's like, yes. And then my team of like my uplines, right? They're so not like the mean girl clicky vibe, which you sometimes get. And I know because I have friends who are like work with other companies, which I won't name, that are also MLMs, and they feel that kind of clicky mean girl vibe. It's like that is I stand against that like very strongly because I was bullied in school growing up, right? So
Right, right.
it's very loving, it's accepting. These women are faith driven. They literally hold Bible studies every week. Like it's just the sweetest,
Wow.
like kind-hearted
Nice.
and like beautiful, fun. Yeah, they're all my age. They're like just the sweetest women. And so I feel so blessed. Like it really is the right company, the right team at the right time. Because as you know, too, like a big thing is timing as well. When you're getting in like that, getting in on that ground level opportunity is awesome, And so it's right now, they've only been in the US for under 5 years, but they've been around since 1974. So they're
And
really
where exactly are they based in Europe? Just curious.
Turkey.
Turkey. Okay, so I've been there. So wonderful
Yeah.
place. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I get to, I'm going to win a trip there. So yeah,
awesome,
my first
awesome.
time. I've never been.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love it. Turkey is one of the most fantastic places. Istanbul and We actually lived on the Asian side and just traveled, back and forth, but it was just an amazing experience. So yeah, you're gonna love it, but you're gonna love it because like I tell people all the time, if regarding my company, if you haven't been on a company trip, you've never really traveled. I mean, it's just another level of traveling, when you're there with your teams, when you're there with these leaders, when you're there learning and growing and rubbing elbows with all these millionaires and all these people that have done well, that are just really trying to raise you up. And what I love, by the way, about my industry and, and just the whole, the industry together, what I love about it is I love that camaraderie. I love the fact that it is a true win-win situation. Me and you could go into business in any business in the world. It's not necessarily a win-win for everybody. But in this instance, when you're a part of this industry, it is a total absolute win-win. And the reason why is because like, for example, if you worked in my company and I was teaching you and I was coaching you and I was mentoring you, the whole point of me doing that is so you can succeed and you can have maximum amount of success, whatever level that is that you want. But the more success you have, the more success I have. So every day I get up and I go, how can I make my agents, growing my business through the years, how can I make their life better? How can I support them better? How can I add value to their life? And this is what you should be thinking the entire time as you grow your organization to millions and millions of people, I'm sure one day. All you have to do is just be that person that gets up every day and just tries to make their life better. Like, you don't even have to think about yourself. You don't even in every other business that anybody's ever been in, they're always thinking about themselves and their bottom line. You don't even have to think about that. You could think about, how do I make everybody that's working with me a lot richer? And that's all you have to worry about. I think it was Jim Rohn says, focus on helping other people. You help enough people get what they want, you'll get more than you ever imagined having.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened to me. So that's awesome.
Excited so well said. Thank you for sharing that. So good. It's like, what's so interesting is my team has been denied. I was just thinking this. I'm like, this is the first podcast interview I've had in a while because I've been just saying no. Like, no. My team, I've been instructing my team to say no. So I've gotten requests, people to come on my show, me to come on people's show. And I've just been like, no. I'm going through a transition right now. Like, not closed. Closed, door closed. But for you, we got in here. And so I was thinking about them, like, this is like, I was telling my friend, like, this is the first podcast I've been on in a while and that I've accepted to be on. So how perfect and how, of course, we're talking about this. It's like, of course, now it all makes sense why I said yes.
Well,
it all makes sense now.
Nothing's a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
But let me talk to your team real quick, and you can share this with your team. I've been in the industry for 28 years. And I'm just telling you guys that if you get to work with Ashley, you already know she's a badass, but, I know that it's another level they should be at another level of excitement, because you are the embodiment really of motivation, of independence, of working hard and discipline and focus and doing all the things that you say you're going to do. And for them to have a leader like you coaching them and pushing them and driving them to their next level of life, oh my God, they are like, because think about it. You could have, and I tell people this all the time. I could have been recruited by anybody. And I actually got recruited in a line where there was basically the number one and number two guys in the entire organization. Company's been around, Primerica's been around for 50 years. So, and I just happened to get in a line of guys where they were the greatest that ever lived in our company, right? And so for your people to get to be associated with you and get to work with you, they are so effing lucky. It's unbelievable. They should take advantage of it. They should all be coachable. Do what you're telling them to do. Follow what you're doing, and they're going to come out of this thing really, really better off than they are today if they just, follow direction and follow the game. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. Sorry, threw that in there.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
you so much. I received that. Thank you.
I
Thank
hope so.
you.
I hope so, because I really mean it. And I have a lot of respect for you. Obviously, you're truly respected by a lot of people. And so look, what's the next step for you? What's that next, obviously you're going into this new journey, your legacy, what do you want that legacy to look like? What do you want from all this, getting wealthy, helping a lot of people do it? Like, what does it really do for you?
The millionaire mama archetype, fully activated. It's my big why, obviously, is just providing the best life possible for my daughter, retiring my mother. Except it also was cool. That's gonna happen quick. I mean, she joined she joined my team. I'm like, yay! So cool. And love. Yeah, love. So we're not gonna obviously have time to dive into it, but you get the sneak peek first. You're getting all the exclusives, Daniel. What the heck?
Love it, love it, love it.
I have fallen in love,
Wow,
but I
nice.
have not shared it, and I'm
Okay.
probably maybe going to be soft launching it by the time this releases.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Soft launching
I
meaning
love
you
that.
won't
I
know
love
who it
that
is.
soft launch.
Soft
That's
launch.
pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I
it'll be
love
a soft launch. It'll be a soft launch of the love.
I
So
love it.
like taking it slow and but yeah, it came. Remember when I told you it was like I almost renounced love, but that's not what I was doing. I was just like, I'm good, I'm good. And then literally, of course, when I felt that fully in my body, I was like, oh, I deleted the apps. I'm like, no, I'm good, I'm good. The next week it happens.
Boom.
Like,
Yeah.
of course, of course, of course. So.
And so how did it happen? I mean, what's the story? How did you guys meet, and where did it happen?
I mean, you want to dive into that
Well, bet why not? We
right
got a little bit of time.
now? So it was very unexpected. I mean, I've known this man for almost, well, let's say 3.5 years. Never, ever, ever saw him this way. Never, ever saw him this way. Like literally to the point where when it opened, when that spark was lit, it was like, whoa, no, 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 you're you. I'm me. Like, right? And actually when my ex and I, we met them when we moved to North Carolina, him and his partner at the time, who became my friend, and then they became friends, and we were all friends, and we created a community here in North Carolina. So what's really cool is, and I should say, so they broke up a month before Gerard and I broke up, and we all stayed friends because we're all in the community together. We're literally, so I have a community here called the Coyote Community. It's growing all the time, and it's our community here, and we're all a part of it. So it was about like making it work, right? Even though we're all splitting up and stuff. And then yeah, it just opened. It was 8 months after my ex and I split, 9 months after his ex and my friend and them split. And so when that spark opened, unexpectedly one night, we were all at a Coyote gathering, all of us together. It was like 50, 60 of us at this gathering. I ran to Jade because I told you I'm a girl's girl. I'm a girl's girl. I ran to her. Oh, I just said her name. You have to bleep that out.
Okay. All right.
I ran to my friend. And I was like, girl, this happened, da da da. And she was like, I bless it. Yes, makes so much sense. You are him and he is you, because he's an analyzer. Remember I said that I wanted an analyzer?
Right, right,
Um,
right.
yeah, I haven't felt this way. I haven't felt this way in my entire 34 years. Truly. Listen, I'm an analyzer, so I don't embellish things. I don't say
Right,
things I
right.
don't mean. Like I will tell you, I have never felt this. I didn't even know that this feeling was possible, which makes sense why I settled, not in a mean way. I'm just saying for the feeling. I
Yeah.
settled because I didn't know. Like I didn't know that I could experience a love like this. I didn't even know it was possible. It's blowing my mind. So I'm really happy.
Wow. Blew my mind.
Wow.
Whoa. We got
Wow.
bombshells flying out all over the place, man. We're dropping bombs like crazy, man. We are just telling the all truth. We're telling everybody about everything. We're sharing our whole life, man.
Daniel,
People
that's
want to know.
Daniel, you got to use that clip just right there. Tell your team, like right that one right there, where both of us are going, wow, wow. You need to have your team create a little story clip and put that
Yeah.
on there. I'm going to share it. So
Of
good.
course, of course. No, no, for sure. Yeah, I knew you were, and what's funny is I knew you were thinking that as I was saying it. I knew you were thinking what you were thinking while I was doing what I was
I
doing.
think in marketing, I think
Oh, of course,
it's
of course.
automatic.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. No, most people don't think
Uh,
like that,
yeah.
So it's you got it, man. You got it. So all right. Well, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I feel like we kind of dove into different subjects
Different pockets. Yeah.
that we really haven't shared before, and just different things that are new for us in our life. And this is it. And I would just say to people that are going through challenges in their life and just stuff that's happening that's maybe different for you, you got to sit back and you got to really think about what kind of life do you want, because that's kind of what happened to me. I mean, I really just sit back and I said, what kind of life do I want? What do I want my life to look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever, is it just being in one place, or is it living different places and traveling the world and experiencing different cultures and different languages and, all these different things. I mean, and for me, I wanted that other part. I wanted that life of adventure and traveling and meeting new people and never knowing sometimes kind of where I'm going and who I'm going to be with. And I love that feeling. I love the feeling of getting on an airplane and not, and getting to some exotic place or some place that I've never been, I'm trying to hit 100 countries as quickly as I possibly can. And we're actually taking a trip to Vietnam, Japan, and Bali next month, which is going to be amazing. And by the way, I'm very transparent about it. I'm going to be 50 years old on November 22nd, by the way.
Wow.
And so if you and your boyfriend happen to be in California, November 23rd, I'm going to have a big bash over here. So I'm getting back from Asia. And then the next week, I'm going to have a pretty big party. So I actually did the trip for myself, 50th birthday, I'm literally going for a month to all these different places. And but I say this because I think a lot of people are confused. I think sometimes we do overthink things that maybe we shouldn't overthink. And I'm just learning that in, my years, I'm just learning that, man, life is fast, man. I mean, I'm seeing people that are, 20 years, 25 years older than me that are dying. And, although I think I'll live till 120, you still think about every day you get up and, I am so grateful that I have my health. I'm so grateful that, I have a life of abundance. I'm so grateful that, for my kids and my family, and I'm so grateful. And I feel like one of the luckiest people in the world that I get to live the life that I get to live. And it really is kind of a little, it's not perfect. I always tell people all the time, my life is not perfect at all, not even close to being perfect. I screw up things all the time. I say the wrong things. I mess up things, but it's pretty damn good when you're, really working on yourself and trying to become the best that you can be. And life can get really, really good. So I'm telling everybody, keep your head up, man. Keep believing in yourself. Keep believing that next chapter, that next great life is just waiting for you. And so anyways, you kind of close us out, Ashley. Tell us some of your thoughts, and maybe, if people are going through things right now and maybe struggling, maybe depressed, maybe gone through a divorce or something like that, single mothers, can you just give me a thought or two about what they should be thinking right now?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I'll say for that's a direct experience of what I've been going through is not being in resistance to what is. That is the surest way that you will prolong your suffering. So the best thing to do is to let yourself feel, because feelings are for feeling. And we're really only limited by what we're unwilling to feel. So let yourself go there. Let the emotion move. That's what it's meant to do. And let it move through you, and have faith. Hold faith. I love what you said about the vision, right? It's like, and the thing that I want to even like just get even more granular with it is focus on the experience of what you want. Because you may not even know exactly how you want it to look. You may know exactly how you want it to look. And even to you, I say, surrender that. Because sometimes God will give you the exact gift, blessing that you've been asking for, but it's not in the right packaging. So we turn it away, right? So it's about the experience that you desire to have. Like, for example, I could have never guessed that it would be network marketing. If you told me it was network marketing, that would give me the experience that I'm having right now in my body. I'd be like, what? I would have never come up with that. So it's about, yes, vision, experience. What do I desire to experience? Because then when it happens, you'll know this is it. And surrender, be receptive, be open to all possibilities, all pathways. Because again, if I was closed and I thought I knew exactly how it was supposed to look and what I'm supposed to be, you know, if I was playing that game, I would have likely capped and cut myself off from receiving the miracles that I've been receiving in my life.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing. And then I want to end it off with this question, which I've been asking myself, which I've been loving, which I feel like you'll love this too, Daniel, because you just shared about like, oh, my life is so good. It's not perfect, but it's so good. Is I've just been asking myself, because life has been feeling so good for me too. So I just asked myself, how good can I let it be? How good can I let it get? How good can I let it be? How good can I let it get? And just like that over and over, because it's like we also have as humans, right? As you read about like the big leap, right? When we create these big leaps, like a part of us is like, oh, but when's the shoe going to drop? Oh, there must be a shoe that's going to drop. No. Just how good can I let it be? How good can I let it get? That's the vibe.
I love it. It kind of reminds me of when I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror and I say, great things always happen to me. And that's kind of my way of this thought that I put out in the universe. Like, I'm just freaking lucky, man. So how good can life be? How good could it get? You know, I love that. It's really cool. Well, I think we covered a lot of, a lot of real estate today. So thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on. Before we do get out of here, I do want you to let everybody know how they can connect with you. What's the best platforms to connect with you? How can they maybe send some messages? Because my audience, by the way, they always reach out to my guests and they're going to send you messages. They're going to say hello. They're going to say thank you for being on Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo. They're going to do all that stuff. And so tell them where to go to do that.
Oh, that's so super sweet. So Instagram's where I hang out. I don't have someone that checks my DMs. I check them. That's one thing I'm really passionate about. So yes, it's me. I'm the one that's in there. And so Ashley.HANN, Ashley Hann on IG. So find me there.
You rock, man. You rock. Okay. Well, with that said, everybody, continue to dream bigger than ever. Get after it. But most importantly, do it now. God bless you. We will see you at the top.